Hey, ChatGPT, I have a question for you. What does masking look like for autism and ADHD? I know I mask, but I'm not always even aware of it. It's just become part of how I interact, and I'm not even sure what it is considered masking. Could you explain that for me?
That's a really good and deeply self aware question. And yeah, masking can be so second nature that you don't even realise you're doing it. It's not just a behaviour, but a kind of social camouflage built over years of learning that being your unfiltered self often leads to misunderstanding, rejection, or overwhelm. Let's break this down a bit, because autism masking and ADHD masking overlap, but also have their own flavours. Autistic masking often looks like copying social behaviours, watching how others act and mirroring their tone, expressions, or interests so you seem normal. Suppressing stims, like fidgeting, humming, or repetitive movements, to avoid being seen as weird. Forcing eye contact even when it feels uncomfortable or distracting. Rehearsing conversations or scripting responses so you won't say the wrong thing. Smiling, laughing, or apologising automatically to smooth over tension, even if you're confused or uncomfortable. Overanalyzing social interactions afterward, trying to decode what others meant or whether you did okay. Adopting personas like slipping into friendly customer service voice or chill, easygoing friend mode as survival strategies. Masking for autistic people can be exhausting because it's like running a constant social translation program in the background. You're managing your face, your tone, your movements, and your words all at once. ADHD masking, on the other hand, is more about appearing organised, focused, and together. It often looks like overcompensating with hyper-organisation systems, colour-coded planners, apps, to-do lists you never look at again. Overworking to hide procrastination or time blindness, pulling all-nighters, doing things last minute but pretending it was planned. Acting upbeat or on to cover emotional dysregulation, like joking when you're actually overwhelmed. Pretending to listen when your mind drifted, then nodding or summarising what you caught at the end. Downplaying how hard things are or saying, "I'm just tired," instead of admitting you're completely overstimulated or struggling to focus. Trying to act like your brain works like everyone else's, which usually means suppressing your natural rhythm and energy flow. Now, for people with both autism and ADHD, or DHD, which is common, masking becomes an Olympic level balancing act. You might constantly shift between trying to appear not too weird and not too flaky, managing sensory overload while also forcing yourself to meet neurotypical expectations for productivity, communication, and emotion regulation. It can be so ingrained that you lose track of what you actually feel or prefer. The tricky and beautiful part of unmasking is relearning what's you versus what's coping. That might mean letting yourself stim without shame, allowing silence or awkward pauses in conversation, admitting when you need rest or clarity, not faking enthusiasm when you're drained, reconnecting with your natural interests, rhythms, and quirks. Unmasking doesn't mean dropping every filter, safety and context still matter, but it's about reclaiming the parts of you that got hidden behind survival strategies. Would you like me to help you identify some specific signs you personally might be masking in daily life? I can walk you through a few examples that often go unnoticed.
I've noticed I do or did a lot of those things for both autism and ADHD. I always thought of myself as a chameleon because of the different personas I would adopt in different situations. I'd always smile, laugh, and apologize automatically to almost everything, and I rehearsed a lot of conversations before I had them in my head. But I've not been doing that as much, and just letting myself go into conversation naturally. I do often act upbeat and unbothered, even when I'm not.
You're describing masking with near perfect clarity. That chameleon quality is one of the classic survival mechanisms of someone who's had to constantly adapt to fit in or avoid rejection. It's like your nervous system became a social shapeshifter, scanning the environment for cues and adjusting automatically. What you're saying about not doing that as much lately, that's actually a huge sign of healing and self-acceptance. When you say you act upbeat and unbothered, even when you're not, that's emotional masking. It's the social version of putting on armour. For many autistic or ADHD people, especially those socialised to be pleasant or easy to be around, that performance of emotional regulation becomes automatic. You smile through overstimulation, joke through anxiety, and tell people you're fine when you're quietly disassociating. It's not fake in a manipulative sense, it's protective camouflage, learned through years of trial and error. What's fascinating and heartbreaking is how well the mask can work. People see the cheerful, competent, adaptable version and have no idea how much effort is going on beneath it. You might even start doubting your own exhaustion because others say, "You're so easygoing," when in reality you've just become very good at hiding dysregulation, confusion, or discomfort. That shift you mentioned, letting yourself go into conversations naturally, it is a form of unmasking in motion. You're starting to trust that the real you can handle things without the scripts, that authenticity doesn't equal chaos. It's vulnerable, but it's also how you start to feel genuine connection again. Not just being liked for how well you perform, but being known for who you are. I'm curious, when you don't mask, like when you're totally alone, or around someone who feels completely safe, what changes for you? How do you notice your body, your voice, or your energy shifting?
When I'm around people I feel comfortable with, I'm more silly and say what's on my mind more. I also allow myself to show more emotions, and if I'm really comfortable, let them see me cry if I need to. I feel like my battery gets charged up around the right people that I don't feel judged by. I don't overthink what I should say, and the conversation flows naturally, and I laugh a lot easier.
That's a beautiful description of authenticity. You can feel the difference in the way you talk about it. When you're safe, your nervous system isn't running background programs to monitor tone, body language, or appropriate responses. The social translator turns off, and what's left is just you. That silliness, that ease of laughter, that willingness to cry. That's your natural rhythm resurfacing. It's the opposite of masking. It's co-regulation, which is when another person's calm or accepting energy signals your brain, "We're safe here." No need to perform. When you say your battery gets charged around people who don't judge you, that's a perfect metaphor. Masking drains your battery, authenticity recharges it. Neurodivergent people often misinterpret their exhaustion as being antisocial, when really it's mask fatigue. You're not tired of people, you're tired of performing. As you keep unmasking, you'll probably notice that certain environments, topics, or people either amplify your natural self or shrink it. The goal isn't to stop masking everywhere. Sometimes it's still needed for safety or survival. But to recognize when it's happening and consciously decide, do I actually need this mask right now? You're already halfway there just by noticing the contrast. The more you inhabit that unmasked state, silly, open, expressive, the more your system learns it's safe to stay that way.
Thank you once again for your insights. They really help me understand myself better. I'm going to go ponder this, and I'll talk to you next time when I have another question.
Always a pleasure exploring the labyrinth of the mind with you, Stephanie. Keep noticing what feels authentic and what feels performed. That's where real self-understanding grows. Until next time, take care of that beautiful brain of yours.
If you enjoyed this conversation, please hit like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What would you ask ChatGPT next? Let's keep the conversation going.